In a quiet village where no one goes out after sunset, there was a girl who thought she knew her sister. They had shared the same womb, the same mother's milk, the same sleeping mat since childhood. Adaeze knew every sound her sister made, the way Chisom hummed when she was nervous, the soft click of her tongue before she lied, the exact rhythm of her breathing in sleep. So when Adaeze woke at midnight and heard her sister rise from that mat, she noticed. Chisom moved like smoke, no sound, no lantern. She slipped through the door and disappeared into the dark. And that was the night everything went wrong. Before we go further, if you're new here, subscribe now, because this story is not for the faint of heart. The village of Umueze sat between two rivers and a forest so old the elders said the trees had names. Life there was not easy, but it was full. Women walked before the sun to fetch water. Men sharpened their tools in the early mist. Children chased goats through narrow red earth paths. And in the evening, the whole village smelled of palm soup and wood smoke. Adaeze and Chisom were daughters of a widow. Their father had died 3 rains ago, leaving behind only a small yam farm and a mother whose eyes never fully smiled anymore. As the older sister, Adaeze carried most of the weight. She sold akara at the morning market. She mended their mother's wrapper. She stayed up late and woke up early. Chisom was different. She was beautiful in a way that made people uncomfortable. Too bright, too still, like a flame that did not flicker in wind. She rarely laughed, she rarely cried. But recently, something had shifted in her. She had become quieter, distant. She stopped eating in the evenings. And sometimes, late at night, Adaeze would hear her whispering words she could not understand. But something was not right. 3 days before everything happened, the oldest woman in the village, Mama Uga, who was said to have lived through 2 curses and a famine, stopped Adaeze at the market. She grabbed her wrist hard. "Your sister, where does she go at night?" Adaeze blinked. "She doesn't go anywhere, Mama. She sleeps." "Nwam, listen to me. There is a proverb, Onye wetara oji wetarandu. He who brings the kola brings life. But there is another thing people bring home from the forest at night, and it does not bring life. If your sister is going to the old silk cotton tree, the one at the edge of Ajo Ohia, the evil forest, you must not follow her. And you must make her stop before what is following her follows her home." Adaeze laughed it off. Mama Uga was old. She saw spirits in shadows. But that was only the beginning. The first night, Adaeze told herself it was a dream. The second night, she sat up and listened, and she heard it again. The soft sound of Chisom rising, the door, the silence. The third night, Adaeze followed. She wrapped her cloth tight and stepped into the dark, keeping her distance, staying close to the compound walls. Chisom walked like she was being pulled, steady, purposeful, eyes forward. She didn't look back once. At first, it seemed harmless. Maybe she was visiting someone. Maybe she had a secret lover. Adaeze almost smiled. Then Chisom turned toward the forest. Adeze's feet slowed. The trees of Ajo Ohia rose before them like a wall of blackness. No moonlight reached inside. No sound came from within. Even the night insects went silent at its edge, as if something had told them to. Chisom walked in without hesitation, and God help her, Adaeze followed. Inside, the air changed. It was colder than it had any right to be. The smell was wrong. Not the smell of leaves and soil, but something underneath it. Something old, mineral and sweet, like blood and honey, mixed together. Adaeze moved branch by branch, keeping Chisom's white wrapper in sight. Then she saw the tree. The silk cotton tree stood at the center of a small clearing, like a king on a throne. Its roots rose from the ground like fingers. Its bark was pale, in a way that made it look almost skinned. And tied around its massive trunk, in careful, deliberate rows, were white pieces of cloth. Dozens of them, some old and grey with age, some fresh. Chisom stopped at the base of the tree. She raised both arms, and she began to speak. The words were not Igbo. They were not any language Adaeze had ever heard. They moved like water, like groaning, like the sound a door makes when it has been closed for a century and someone finally opens it. But something was watching. Adaeze felt it before she saw it. A pressure at the back of her neck, like eyes, like hands that weren't touching her yet. She turned slowly, standing at the tree line, not walking, not breathing, just standing, was a figure, tall, too tall, wrapped in dark cloth that moved when there was no wind. Its face was wrong, not because it had no features, but because the features kept shifting, like a reflection in disturbed water, like something that had learned what a face was, but had never worn one long enough to remember. And that was when things got worse. The figure began to move toward Chisom, and Chisom turned to it and smiled. Not the smile of a girl greeting a stranger, the smile of someone greeting something they had been waiting for. Chisom! Adaeze screamed before she could stop herself. Everything froze. The figure's shifting face turned toward her, and in that moment, Adaeze understood what Mama Uga had tried to tell her. This thing had not found Chisom in the forest. It had found her weeks ago, maybe months, walking her here, little by little, night by night, like a fisherman, slowly reeling in a line. Run, Chisom whispered. Adaeze, run. You were not supposed to see this. But the village did not know the truth. Adaeze ran. She ran until the trees ended and the village began, and she collapsed in the red dirt, gasping, her cloth torn, her feet bleeding. She screamed for her mother. She screamed for the elders. They went looking. They found the silk cotton tree. They found the white cloths. But they did not find Chisom. Not that night. Not the next day. On the third day, a child fetching firewood found Chisom sitting at the edge of the forest, just sitting, eyes open, hands folded in her lap. She was alive, but she was not the same. She did not speak for 7 days. When she finally did, the words were slow, like she was translating from somewhere far away. She did not remember the forest. She did not remember the tree. She did not remember the figure. She said she dreamed she had been somewhere beautiful, that someone had offered her something she could not name, and that she had almost said yes. Almost. Mama Uga came and sat with her for a long time. She burned herbs. She prayed. She tied a red thread around Chisom's wrist and said nothing to anyone about what she saw in the girl's eyes. But Adaeze saw it, just once, Just for a moment, in the early morning light, when Chisom thought no one was watching, her shadow moved before she did. The elders of Umueze have a saying, Oburu na ichefo ebe isi, igahi ama ebe na aga. If you forget where you come from, you will not know where you are going. There are things in this world that hunger, and they do not hunt with claws or teeth. They hunt with beauty, with longing. They find the places inside you that are empty, and they offer to fill them. Chisom had been lonely. She had been tired. She had been the daughter of a widow in a hard world, and something had noticed. The lesson is not just for Chisom, it is for all of us. Grief makes us search. Pain makes us reach for anything that feels like warmth. But not every warmth is safe. Not every door that opens was meant for you to walk through. They say the silk cotton tree at the edge of Ajo Ohia was eventually burned. They say the white cloths were taken down and buried with prayers and bitter herbs. They say Chisom recovered, married, had children, grew old in the village she was born in. But every year, on the night the moon refuses to shine, she sits outside alone, not speaking, not moving, just staring in the direction of the forest. And every year, her children ask her what she's looking at. She never answers, because some things, once they see your face, never stop looking back. If this story gave you chills, subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone who loves a good story, because we are just getting started, and the next tale is even darker. Sleep well, and whatever you do, do not follow the voices at night.